Watch what happens to Atletico Madrid the second Odegaard leaves that pitch. Just watch. Because in one moment, one decision from the dugout, everything Arsenal had built over 60 minutes just evaporated. The control, the structure, the fear they had put into Simeone's side, gone. And the worst part? It wasn't Atletico who took it from them. I've been sitting with this result for a while now. And yes, 1-1 away from home in a Champions League semi-final sounds fine. On paper, it looks fine, respectable even. Most Arsenal fans would have taken that before kickoff. But I can't shake this feeling. And I think if you watch that game closely, really closely, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Something was taken from Arsenal last night. And I'm not just talking about the penalty. I'm Amelia, and on this channel, we don't just talk about what happened, we talk about why. And more importantly, what it means. If you're new here, subscribe. Because if you care about understanding Arsenal at the deepest level, this is where you want to be. Drop a comment right now. Tell me, when did you feel the game shift? I genuinely want to know if you saw the same thing I did. Because here's where I want to start. Not with the VAR decision, not even with the goal. I want to start with a feeling. The feeling you had somewhere around the 65th minute of that game, when Arsenal were level, when Atletico hadn't really threatened, when it still felt like Arsenal were the team in charge of this tie. And then Arteta stood up, and Odegaard's number went up, and something in your stomach dropped. I felt it. I think a lot of Arsenal fans felt it. And that instinct, that gut reaction, it wasn't wrong. Because what happened over the next 25 minutes confirmed everything that feeling was telling us. But let's go back. Let's go right back to the beginning of this night. Because to understand what Arteta cost Arsenal, you have to understand what Arsenal actually had. The Metropolitano is one of the hardest grounds in European football. I mean that seriously. Atletico Madrid at home in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, under the lights, in that heat, with that crowd, it is a different type of pressure. Teams that have dominated their leagues all season can walk into that stadium and completely lose who they are. The environment does something to you. Arsenal didn't let it do that. In the first half, they were composed, organized, purposeful. And the man at the center of all of that, the player pulling every string in the middle of the park, was Martin Odegaard. Now, I want to be specific here, because when people say a player is controlling the game or pulling the strings, it can sometimes feel like a vague compliment. I don't mean it vaguely. What Odegaard does, what makes him irreplaceable in a game like this, is the way he manages tempo. He decides when Arsenal breathe and when they accelerate. He finds pockets between Atletico's midfield and defensive lines, and he makes the ball move before the press can get to him. He's the reason Arsenal's build-up doesn't stall under pressure. He's the valve. When you're away from home in a semi-final, that valve is everything. And then there was Gyökeres. Look, there has been a lot of noise around Victor Gyökeres this season. Is he elite? Is he just a stat padder against weaker opposition? Does he show up in the big moments? Last night, at least, for the opener, he answered some of those questions. Because what he did to win that penalty wasn't just physical, it was intelligent. He used his pace to get ahead of David Hanko, got goal side, and then he waited. He didn't force it. He felt the contact coming, and he let it come. He made Hanko make the decision, and Hanko got it wrong. Spot kick. Gyökeres steps up. Arsenal lead. That is smart, streetwise striker play. That is a player who understands how to hurt a team even when the chances aren't falling perfectly. And in a game at the Metropolitano where clean opportunities are rare, that kind of intelligence matters enormously. So at halftime, Arsenal are winning in Madrid against Atletico in a Champions League semi-final. And the performance is good enough to justify that lead. Now, here's where the second half gets complicated, because this is where the story stops being simple. Atletico came out after the break with more urgency. That's expected. Simeone would have made adjustments. They started pressing higher. They started winning second balls. And eventually, the Ben White handball. And this is where it gets serious, because I've watched that moment back multiple times now, and I want to be honest about it. The ball deflects off White's foot first, then it hits his arm. His arm isn't in a wildly unnatural position. He doesn't move it toward the ball. It's a reaction. It's a split-second thing that happens because a football hit his foot and changed direction. But here's the reality of modern handball rules in European football. The rule doesn't require intent. It doesn't even always require a clearly unnatural position. And VAR confirmed it. Penalty given. Julian Alvarez, one of the most composed players in world football, puts it away like it's a training exercise. 1-1. Now, I want you to hold something in your mind, because this is important. At 1-1, Arsenal are still in a good position, away from home, still level. Odegaard is still on the pitch. The game is still there to be managed, to be controlled, to be seen out. This is the moment where experience takes over. This is the moment where you hold the ball. You make Atletico chase it. You make them tired. You make the game small. And that is exactly what Odegaard enables Arsenal to do. So what does Arteta do? He takes him off. I've tried to be fair about this. I genuinely have. I've asked myself, was there an injury concern? Did Arteta see something in Odegaard's body language that told him he was fading? Was this a specific tactical decision designed to exploit something in Atletico's shape? Maybe. I can't rule it out completely. But what I can tell you is what happened on that pitch the moment Eze came on. And what happened is this. Arsenal lost their reference point in midfield. Eze is a brilliant player. I want to be really clear about that. He's creative, he's direct. He has the ability to unlock defenders in tight spaces, and he can beat people with pace and skill. He is genuinely one of the most exciting attacking players in the Premier League right now. But he is not Martin Odegaard. He is not a deep-lying creative midfielder. He is not someone who drops into half spaces between the lines and controls tempo. He doesn't organize the press from the middle. He doesn't hold the ball under pressure and recycle it with the composure Odegaard has. What Eze offers is a very different kind of threat, a more vertical threat, a more direct, unpredictable threat. And that can be brilliant in the right context. This was not the right context. When you're 1-1 away from home in the 65th minute of a Champions League semi-final against a team managed by Diego Simeone, who has built his entire career on hunting for exactly that kind of structural vulnerability, you do not take off the player who is stopping that from happening. Because the moment Odegaard left that pitch, Atletico's midfield had more room. Simple as that. Think about it tactically. With Odegaard in the game, Arsenal have a player who constantly makes himself available between the lines. Someone who attracts attention. Someone who Atletico's midfielders have to track and account for. Remove that player. Replace him with someone more naturally wide, more naturally vertical. And suddenly, Atletico's central midfielders don't have the same problem to solve. They can push higher. They can win the ball in more dangerous areas. They can get Alvarez and their forwards on the ball in better positions. And that is exactly what happened. Now think about this. Simeone didn't suddenly become a tactical genius in the 66th minute. His players didn't suddenly get fitter or sharper or more creative. What changed was the opponent in front of them. Arsenal's shape changed. Their control mechanism was gone. And Atletico, being the experienced European side that they are, felt it immediately and pushed into it. That's not a coincidence. That's cause and effect. And this is where I want to say something that might get some pushback, but I think it needs to be said. Arteta made the wrong decision, clearly, not debatably. The evidence of what happened after that substitution is right there in the game footage. Atletico grew, Arsenal retreated. The control that had defined their performance, that had earned them that lead in the first place, vanished. But here's the thing that actually worries me more. This isn't the first time Arteta has made a reactive substitution in a high-pressure European moment. There is a pattern, not always, not every game, but a pattern, of taking off a key controlling player when the game gets tight in search of something more direct, more attacking, more reactive, when actually what the situation demands is patience and structure. And I think that pattern has a root cause. I think it comes from a kind of anxiety on the touchline, a feeling that if you don't do something, if you don't make a bold change, then you're being passive. You're conceding control to the other team. But sometimes, and this is a really important football philosophy point, sometimes the boldest decision is to do nothing. Sometimes the boldest decision is to trust the players on the pitch who are doing exactly what you need them to do. Taking off Odegaard was not bold, it was nervous. And I think deep down, a lot of Arsenal fans felt that in real time. Not analytically, not with diagrams or tactical breakdowns, just that gut feeling that something was being given away for no good reason. Now, let's zoom out, because 1-1 is still a result. Arsenal are going back to the Emirates with the tie completely open. A European night at Arsenal, 60,000 people, the atmosphere, the pressure on Atletico. And here's where I want to be honest about both sides of this. The optimistic view, Simeone's Atletico in second legs when they're away from home tend to sit extremely deep. They're not going to come to the Emirates and try to play open football. They'll defend, absorb, hit on the counter. And a compact defensive Atletico without the heat of the Metropolitano, without Atletico's crowd, is a different proposition. That actually might suit Arsenal's attacking style more than tonight's conditions did. Gyökeres, Saka, Martinelli. If they're given space to run in behind a low defensive block, they can be devastating, and the crowd will be behind them from the first whistle. The Emirates on a European night is genuinely one of the best atmospheres in English football. That matters. But, and this is the tension I keep coming back to, Arsenal cannot afford another decision like tonight. They cannot afford to disrupt their own structure at the critical moment. They cannot take off their best players when the game demands control, because Atletico will punish it. Simeone has built his entire managerial career on punishing exactly that kind of gift. If Arteta trusts Odegaard to play 90 minutes at the Emirates, if he backs his system, backs his best players, keeps the structure intact, I think Arsenal win. I genuinely do. I think this Arsenal side, at home, in front of that crowd, is better than Atletico Madrid. But if he hesitates again, if the anxiety gets to him again, if there's another moment where a key controlling player makes way for something more direct, more speculative, more reactive, then this tie could slip away in a moment. And that would hurt more than the VAR decision. That would hurt more than any referee call or handball rule debate. Because losing to a bad call is painful. Losing because of your own decisions is something else entirely. Arsenal haven't been in a Champions League final since 2006. Think about that. Nearly 2 decades. A whole generation of Arsenal fans who have never experienced that, who have grown up watching this club try and fall short and try again. And right now, they are 90 minutes away from the possibility of it. That's not nothing. That's enormous. And everything, every decision, every substitution, every moment of nerve on that touchline, it all matters now. There's no room for hesitation. There's no margin for reactive football. This is the moment where the manager has to be at his absolute best. Not just in terms of tactics, but in terms of belief. In terms of trusting the identity that got Arsenal to this point. Because Odegaard didn't just help Arsenal get into a Champions League semi-final. He is the reason they're here. The way he plays, the way he thinks the game, the way he makes the players around him better and smarter and calmer. He needs to be on that pitch at the Emirates for 90 minutes without hesitation. And if he is, if Arteta gets that right, then I think Arsenal fans might finally get the night they've been waiting for. So here's my question for you. What's your 11 for the second leg? Does Odegaard start? Does he play the full game? And more importantly, do you trust Arteta to get the big decisions right when it matters most? Let me know below. I'm reading every single comment. Because this tie isn't over, not even close. But the next decision matters as much as anything that happened in Madrid. Don't get that wrong, Mikel.